Yo, what's up, viewers? It's your boy Blaze Hollow coming at you again with another What If, and this time I'll be bringing you What If Deku had Mahito's abilities, Part 6. Let's roll that intro and get into it. The freakish monster lets out a monstrous roar as it continues to try to strike at Endeavor and Genus. As both of them leap out of the way of the creature's strike, Genus uses his strings to try to keep the creature in place. Be careful, these things are a lot stronger than they look, but they can also be very fragile. It's almost like when he makes them, they're on a roulette wheel. Endeavor launches flames at the creature to keep it back. It doesn't matter. I've looked over these cases multiple times. Either this creature is going to die in a few minutes or we have to put it down ourselves. Are you serious? That's a person. Don't you think we should try to save them? We can't. My team captured a few of these things. Every time we try to have a doctor look at them, it showed the same result. They can't be fixed or saved. It's the best thing we can do is to put them out of their misery. Deku was chuckling like a madman as he started to leap from pile of rubble to pile of rubble. Well, why don't the both of you have some fun with my pet there? I'm going to see if I can find some more things to bring back to you. Catch up if you can, heroes. The both of them were watching the Maker run into the chaos of the destroyed city. Endeavor tried to rush past, only for the abomination-like creature to slash out one of its limbs at him. But before it could make contact, it gets wrapped up once again by Genus's threats as it gets pulled back to him. Go, I'll keep this thing away from the civilians. You catch up with the Maker and capture him. Endeavor doesn't hesitate as he starts running, using his flames to move faster, only taking a few seconds to catch up with the Maker, who was running in the pools of blood on the city streets. Shooting out Crossfire, hitting the back of the Maker, causing him to slide in the puddles of blood face first, as Endeavor quickly goes to crash down his boot right in the center of the Maker's spine. Did you seriously think you could cause this much trouble and run away? Deku gritted his teeth as he was trying to spit out some of the blood that got into his mouth, not able to fully get up with Endeavor planting his boot right on his back. Do you really think it's a good idea to stay in contact with me, number 2? I'll just... Endeavor cut off the Maker as he caused a giant flaming pillar to engulf him and the Maker as he could hear the screams of his enemy in agony. After a few seconds he shut it off just to look down even more annoyed. This isn't a game and I'm not here to play with you. Thousands are dead at your hands and the fact that I don't kill you is something that you should be grateful for, but I will make sure you rot at the bottom of Tartarus. Deku was trying to catch his breath, feeling his whole body scorched like crazy. He could even feel parts of his flesh flaking off from the dead cells. As he was trying to reshape his body, he noticed something about his flesh, how it would crawl, how it would reshape, how it would reform. That's when he got a big grin on his face as he looked up towards Endeavor. You really are an interesting pain in my ass. His body then jettisoned spikes out of his back as they partially impaled Endeavor's foot and leg, throwing the hero off of him as he started to crawl back onto his feet. I'm starting to see it. I see it. The possibilities. I was so short-sighted before, but I see it now. Endeavor stumbled back, putting a few feet of distance between him and the Maker so he could feel the pain and blood dripping down his leg along with the agony of putting pressure on his foot. But he grit through the pain as he lit both of his fists on fire. You truly are insane. Do you have no remorse for what you have done here? Ha 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 ha! No, I don't. As he whips his body backwards, almost like his spine no longer exists, his hand came out like a whip with a bunch of blades on the end of it. As he lashed out, trying to get a hold of Endeavor, only for a stretched out limb to get blasted away with fire, along with a counterattack, getting punched in the face while being blasted with a pillar of fire, sending him through the rubble once again as he laid in one of the destroyed buildings. Ow, 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 that really hurt. He's got a lot of attack power and he keeps burning away my body faster than I can get close enough to attack him. What do I do? What do I do? You surrender. As he comes into the building, he hits him again with another flaming pillar, scorching the villain with no mercy. This only ends two ways. Either you end up in a cell or in a coffin. Deku was sent flying through the rubble again, bouncing like a stone over a lake of concrete. When he finally stopped, he was in one of the buildings that fully collapsed. As he was struggling to get up again, reforming and healing over the scorched body, he noticed something behind him, a group of people that were clinging to one another out of fear as he smiled. Well, if it isn't my lucky day, I needed more ammunition. Endeavor quickly made his way over, trying to make sure the Maker didn't try to slip away, only to nearly be shot by something that looked like a bullet. Being able to get out of the way at the last second, he looked down to see the Maker holding onto a person with one arm, transforming it into a minigun. Just when I think you couldn't get any more vile, fight me and stop dragging civilians into this. And why would I do that? It keeps you heroes from doing anything too obsessive, and it gives me more power. A group of civilians, along with Endeavor, watch as the man that the Maker was holding onto continued to shrivel away into Deku's machine gun-like arm, as it started to spin up and start firing mini bone projectiles along with flesh at Endeavor. Maybe if you just lay down and die, hero, I'll leave. Endeavor quickly leaped into cover, trying to avoid any of the flesh-like fragments as he tried to peek over the edge from his cover, noticing at least 3 other civilians behind the Maker as his cover was slowly being chipped away by the shots. But just as he was getting ready for a counterattack, he started to hear some kind of weird wet slapping noise, only for him to leap away at the last second as he sees some kind of plush bone-looking rag abomination leap over his former cover. Do you like the new design? I have to thank Genus for helping me come up with it. Watching him put together strings like he was putting together an outfit made me think, why couldn't I do something like that, but with flesh and bone? Isn't it wonderful? Endeavor was gritting his teeth seeing this former citizen turned into this grotesque monster. Do you enjoy playing with people's lives? I thought you came here to prove something to the heroes, not the civilians. As he started to light flames on his fist like he was going to go hand to hand with the Maker. Oh, why don't you stop hiding behind innocence and show me what your actual fighting power is like? While the both of them were distracted with one another, Genus was sneaking up from behind. When he noticed some of the civilians noticed him, he put a hand up to shush them. As he started to manipulate fibers to try to lift some of the civilians up slowly and carefully, but that's when something felt wrong. When he started to get the 3rd civilian close to him, it felt like it was way too easy, so he tried to look over towards the Maker only to see a wild grin on his face, not understanding why. While Endeavor was keeping him distracted, when he finally got the civilian close to his hiding spot, that's when he realized too late. As all of the civilians started to twist and bulge, and before Genus could fully leap away, they blew up like shrapnel, as bone and flesh embedded into his side along with both of his arms as he goes tumbling onto the ground. Did you like my surprise, you little sneak? I got that idea from my last work, but I put it on a delay. I didn't even know that would work, but it did, so even if you did successfully get them away from me sooner than you did, they were going to blow up anyway. Oh god, my ability is amazing. I'm amazing. Endeavor quickly shot out a massive wall of fire separating Genus and him from the Maker. Are you alright? Genus Genus was slowly making his way back onto his feet, limping a little bit now and feeling parts of his arm twitch. I've been better, but do you notice what he keeps on saying? I have, and there's something else I've noticed. In the way that he fights, it's sloppy and desperate. It's like a child trying to throw their weight around against a smaller child. Not only that, he seems to be learning. It's like he's watching us kick his ass so he can use it against us later. It's insanity. It's almost like he doesn't care for his own life. Deku comes rushing through the flame wall, his skin scorched and his arms was like a lance pointed right at Genus's head. Maybe I don't. Both heroes were stunned, unable to move as the lance was getting closer to Genus, trying to move out of the way, but he realized his body cannot react in time as he just accepted that his death was coming. He just closed his eyes and grinned at the Maker, not wanting to give him the satisfaction of being afraid, when out of nowhere a shadow started to appear over them, as a foot directly smashed into the Maker's face, sending him crashing into a building right behind him, causing the building to start falling on top of him, as Mirako stood right where the Maker was with a big grin on her face, holding up her leg while her other leg was holding up her body. It looks like you almost bit the big one, old man. Maybe you should start thinking about retirement if you're gonna let rookies like this beat the shit out of you. Endeavor wasn't paying attention to her. He was paying more attention to the collapsed building that just fell on top of the Maker, wondering if that killed him or if he was using it to escape. He didn't know. He could still feel the pain in his legs from the earlier spike attack. Mirako was hopping on the balls of her feet as she started to make her way over to the pile of rubble that used to be a building as she stood on top of it. Come on out. I know you ain't dead in there. If it was that easy to kill you, you would have been locked up a long time ago, or some other creep would have killed you themselves. You idiot, get off of that pile. His body is malleable, so he could come out of anywhere. Mirako didn't feel like the Maker was already done, as she turned to say something to Endeavor, but she never got to speak. As some sort of debris started to move out of the way, she quickly leaped towards it and kicked it, hoping to make contact with the Maker again, only to hit open air as some kind of flesh-like snake came out from under the debris right behind her as it started to reform into the Maker and grab her right arm. Roll over and die, you stupid rabbit. Mirako didn't hesitate for a second as she grabbed the blade that she was keeping at her hip and sliced off her right arm before her body could be affected as she rolls around on the dirt trying to get back onto her feet. I've heard rumors about you. One touch and most people are dead, but what happens if you remove the limb that was touched? Deku looked shocked, not expecting someone to actually cut off their own limb without hesitation. In that moment of confusion, Endeavor came swinging with his arm down like a flaming spike, taking off the Maker's arm that was holding the cut off limb, and then throwing in a flaming uppercut to the torso, causing the Maker to be sent skipping across the road, hitting into one of the nearby cars as its horn started to go off from being hit. Mirako walked up to Endeavor as she was bleeding out from where her arm used to be. Hey, do me a favor and use some of that fire to close this up. I gotta get him back for this. What you just did was completely reckless. You shouldn't be fighting against the Maker. You're too close combat. He will tear you apart if he gets a hold of you. But if it wasn't for me, Genus would be pushing up daisies right now. Deku lunged at the both of them, his fingers stretched out and changing to steel-like claws. Talk, talk, talk. That's all I hear from all of you. Don't you understand that this is a fight between life and death? Funny enough, I agree with you. As threads wrap around the Maker, but this time they seem to be cutting into the flesh along with a thick binding around the throat. Since you wanted to take my life and so many others, I'll just take your life as well. He then tosses the Maker upwards, having him hang by the noose around his neck from a nearby lamppost. I'm sure this looks like a familiar sight. One of my Oka friends was killed by you this way. Deku was choking a little bit out of surprise as he could feel the threads actually trying to feed into his throat. As he would keep keep on trying to reform or shrink out of it, the noose would keep on getting smaller or the threads would go deeper into his neck. It was like he was stuck, but he decided to use whatever strength he could to speak. I gotta say, using one of my own tricks is amusing. I have to remember to do this to somebody else you love when I get out of this. Endeavor was walking up as he started to build up a flame in his hand, some trying to go from being orange and red to bluish white. There isn't going to be anybody else. Your life ends here. Deku struggled to breathe, finding his limbs were wrapped up in the threads digging into him every time he tried to change his size. But there was something he kept on thinking about, his monsters, how he always wanted to see if he could make them bigger than they naturally could be, if he could just do more, but sometimes he just never had enough material or the idea. But that's when he started to look around, noticing the blood and chunks of flesh, the giant bones that were still sticking out of some of the buildings as he started to laugh. I see, then let this be my last bet. With all of his strength, he coughed up something that was being kept within his body as he launched a huge amount of his power into one of the pieces of flesh in the distance. Let this be my biggest creation. Once the spirit cadaver makes contact with the flesh, it starts to pulse and starts to grow. As it had a command built into its design, the heroes were confused, wondering why the maker was shooting something out that wasn't in their direction. But that's when they felt it, a rumbling in the city, a thud every few seconds as some of the blood that was pooling at their feet started to move, as buildings started to creak and crack even more than they already were, as scattered flesh started to conform in one place. What the hell is happening? I don't know, but we need to end this before whatever he did is finished. I'm on it, as it goes to shoot out a jet burn, only to be blasted away by a pillar of liquid and congealing blood, as he tumbles back onto his feet, dropping to a knee as his bad leg acts up, as he looks up in horror. What the hell is that? A blood-like hand grabs onto Deku, breaking whatever string that was keeping him bound or ripping into him. As the creature starts to get more solid, it starts to rip the ground apart as a 40-meter tall construct of flesh and blood, with bones coming out of the shoulders, as 4 arms with razor-sharp claws and a tail started to elongate out of its back. It seemed to be taking a female-like shape. When the head started to shape itself, it looked like Mount Lady's head, but what was standing on top of it was the Maker, who was laughing and breathing heavily, holding on to its throat. You almost had me. If your strings would have been cutting through my chest instead of my throat, you might have killed me, but you wasted it letting somebody else do the job for you. Well, let me introduce you to my ultimate creation. The mutant Mount Lady swung one of her lower sets of arms, knocking over the remaining standing buildings, launching debris all over the place. As the 3 heroes tried to get out of the way, Genus was hit by a massive piece of debris and was then buried underneath some of it. Mirko quickly lunged at Endeavor, getting him out of the way, as the both of them just barely made it out of the debris field that was being launched all over the city. The mutant Mount Lady roared out as it started to punch and strike random areas of the city, as Deku started to feel exhausted, not knowing how much longer he can keep a creature of this size together, as he also noticed his left foot was actually fused with the thing, so he wasn't going anywhere. It's not perfect. I feel so many flaws. Where did I go wrong? Did I overpush the size and the form? Did I not push enough energy into the cadaver? No, there has to be a way to stabilize this thing. I cannot stay connected to it. Mirko was gripping her shoulder, feeling like a lot of her blood was leaking all over the place. I'm going to distract him. Do whatever you need to do to destroy that creature along with the Maker. If that means you have to kill me in the crossfire, do it. Endeavor had a grim look on his face. place. Use the creature's size to your advantage. From how it's moving, I can tell it's not stable, and it's the first time he stayed on top of any of his creations. So either he needs to stay connected to it, or he's a lot more wounded than he wants us to believe. He then quickly grabs her shoulder and burns the area, allowing it to clot and the bleeding to stop. She bites her lip a little bit and just smirks at him. Just don't miss. If I survive this, you're paying for my medical bills. Fine with me, now get to it. Mirako started to bounce around as quickly as she could, trying to find the blind spot of the creature, which didn't seem to have any true direction to it. It just started to smash and bash at the ground, whipping its tail around behind it. Every few minutes, when she finally was able to get some footing and start bouncing up, she tried to look around to see if anything was coming her way. Looks like the maker didn't give this thing a brain or a sense of nervous system. Deku was still sitting on top of the creature's head, repairing parts of his own body using some of the creature's biomass on himself. I need to kill these heroes quickly and get out of here. I don't know how much longer I have left. I would say you don't have much. As she appears from behind, kicking him right in the head, causing the maker to fall right onto his back. Oh goody, you're planted in place. This just makes beating you so much more enjoyable. She continues to kick him fiercely, blow after blow, as he would then swing back with his claws or sometimes attempt to punch her. As the both of them continue going back and forth, holding their ground, we cut to the ground level where Endeavor has actually made his way right underneath the creature. As debris tried to fall towards him while the creature stepped around, it started to melt once it got too close to him. Once he felt like the heat he was condensing into the proper place, he then shot out a massive pillar of blue flame, ripping the mutant mount lady apart and burning majority of its body. As the flames traveled, Deku felt an intense amount of pain as he was still trying to lunge at Mirako, who used his chest like a springboard to jump away. Before he could do anything else, the massive blue pillar engulfed his entire body as the flames continued cooking away at the creature for at least a few minutes. By the time Endeavor was done and exhausted and completely overheated, as the rest of the remaining creature's body fell, but what also came rolling off the piece of flesh that was the maker's head, it would be the only thing that didn't get burned to ashes. It's finally over. As he dropped to his knees, breathing heavy, looking down at the ground, trying not to pass out, the maker is no more. While he was still catching his breath, wishing that he had some water, a thin shadow started to come over him. He chuckled, thinking that Mirako was about to talk some trash about him being down on his knees exhausted. When he finally looked up, his eyes went wide with horror as he saw the skeletal body of the maker starting to form from the neck down. And before he could do anything, the maker lunges forward, sending his right arm right through the chest of Endeavor, with his heart coming out the back and crushing it between his fingers. That hurt, you flaming bastard. But that's where I'm gonna leave it off this time, guys. Make sure to leave a like and comment down below, and with all that said, I'm out. Peace.